David?
Well, there's different levels of it. The number of people completely in on it, tiny. Because of compartmentalization, only a few need to know how all the pieces fit. Everyone else is just working on a piece, and they don't know what the other pieces are and how they connect, so they don't know what they're part of. You know, it's like when they construct very secret technology. They get different people in different places to build different parts of it, and only a few people put it together and see what it really is. This is how it works. Then you've got the next level, which are people who are in the professions of science and medicine and administration of government and health agencies, etc. And they are looking at self-interest. It's me, me, me. It's me, me, me that got us into this mess. If we just started doing what we know to be right instead of what we think is right for us in the moment, we'd transform this whole thing very quickly. But the me, me, me mentality says, well, I do know what's going on, and I could speak out and I could expose it, or I could break ranks, but I'd lose me income. What about me house? What about this? What about me holidays abroad and all the rest of it? And that kicks in. Well, I tell you, you can forget about all that stuff if you have this vaccine in the way that they're planning to do it. Because what's the point of having all those material things if your health is shot, the health of your children is shot? I mean, come on, let's get some priorities together here. This is a time for people who know anything about what's going on to speak out about it, to expose it, and worry about the consequences. Don't even worry about the consequences. Never mind the consequences. The consequences of not doing it are far more profound and a lot more unpleasant than doing it. And this is the other thing, you know, if we take this onto another level. Is there someone with an AK-47 in some other dimension saying to, you know, consciousness, get in that body or I'll shoot? No. So let's ask this question. Why are we here now? Yeah. Why are we experiencing this now? I mean, did we get the calendar wrong or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Should we have been gone by now or whatever? No, of course not. We're here now because we chose to be here now. It wasn't that level of us that's experiencing it through the conscious mind. It was that level of us that people describe when they are in a near-death experience state, where everything that we think would be kind of miraculous in terms of expanded consciousness, where past, present, and future come together as one, where you have the ability to understand and to process information on a scale that we would say that is impossible within the confines of this body computer. But it's that level of massively expanded awareness before we come into this lens to experience this tiny frequency range we call the world. That's where these decisions of choice are made. It's like in the Matrix where the Oracle says to Neo, you've already made your choice. Now what you've got to do is understand why you made it. Yeah. and that's where we are. We're here for a reason. And that reason is we're here to bring this control system to an end, because it's not been going on since we were born into this world, or our bodies were. It's been going on for thousands of years and getting more and more power, centralizing more and more power as the decades and the centuries have passed. And bingo, now they're at the point where they can make their play for total global takeover. So we're here to make a contribution to make sure that doesn't happen.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
You know, people may say, who are you? Or I work in the shop, that's who I am. Or I run the office, that's who I am. Or I drive a bus, that's who I am. No. That's your experience. It's the way you have experienced your life up to this point. That's not who you are, and it's not why you're here. You are consciousness, all-knowing, all that is, has been, ever will be consciousness, having an experience as your name, as your job, as your culture, as your country. And now it's time to move your self-identity from little me to all-knowing me, all-powerful me, and let's sort this out. And let's do what we've come to do, which is bring an end to this control system and restore paradise to this reality, which it was before these manipulators came in, and it will be when they've gone, because they are going, but it's going to go some way down the road yet, because they're not going to go quietly, obviously.
No, absolutely not. And do you think, is that something that you fall back on in regards to when we see these kind of troubling times and all the problems that we are facing currently, and maybe a few years down the road, having an extraordinary experience here in one way, and we shouldn't be, we should be alarmed, and we should be obviously worried about what's going on one level, on the human level, for the sake of the future of the planet Earth here. But at the same time, it's no reason to be, doom and gloom in one way. It's not over, so to speak. This is just an experience, and we're always going to make it in some way. That it's a comfort, so to speak, in the fact that that there is more beyond this realm and more beyond what we can see in front of our eyes, so to speak. Is that something that you kind of fall back on, and that makes you feel, I guess, a little bit better, and when things are heavy? What do you think?
Well, I say to people, what's the worst that can happen? You leave this reality. You leave this tiny frequency range called visible light. That's it. But and when you leave it, you become expanded consciousness. All that is, has been, ever will be, in some kind of awareness of itself. Maybe even in awareness of itself, if you're that awake, that open, your consciousness is that open. So I'm terrified, aren't I? I mean, that terrifies me. I mean, I can go from being David Icke in this body, experiencing this tiny reality, and then I, quote, die, and I become expanded consciousness. I mean, oh yeah, I'm terrified. I mean, it's going to happen anyway. Thank goodness it's going to happen. I don't want to stay here forever, well, but I do want to stay here long enough to experience this. Yeah. I mean, I've had a friend this week, a great friend of mine, Yeva Gladwin, who died on Monday. And she was such a wonderful support for me in the early years, because she was in her 80s when she died, and she'd seen and done a lot of things, and she helped me in the early years of the 1990s when I was trying to work out what the heck was happening to my life. And I saw her last Thursday, I think it was, or maybe about 7 days ago, at the nursing home where she died. And I left her in the room as Yeva Gladwin in a physical body. And then she died. And now Yeva Gladwin's experience is over. And now she is expanded consciousness, which is what she was before she had this experience, is now the experience is over. And it's the same with all of us. So that's the worst that can happen. You see, because they've brought about this fear of death, it's means that it frightens us into inaction if we think there could be a danger of doing something to make a difference. So, let's let go of that for a start. That's the worst that can happen. And it is just an experience. The question is not whether we will become consciousness and awareness of itself again. The question is, what kind of experience do you want?
Yes, that's right.
What kind of experience do you want your children and grandchildren to have? Do you want them to live out the rest of their time here in a control system which controls every aspect of their lives down to the fine detail, including their thoughts, that uses drugs to control their sense of reality so they love their servitude? I mean, is that what we want? Well, if we don't, let's get active. But for goodness sake, we need to lose this self-identity that we are little me and our name and our job, like I said earlier, because if we go through this period and we believe that's who we are, then it's going to be a very, very challenging few years that we're going into. If you can move that and realize you are consciousness, eternal conscious, having an experience, then the intensity of the experience and the fear of doing what's necessary is far less than it is if you get caught in little me mode, in who I am is my body, my job, and all the rest of it that I talked about. This shift of awareness, this shift of self-identity is fundamental to getting through this and to accessing those levels of awareness that are going to guide us and intuitively lead us to be in the right place at the right time, doing the right things to make the best contribution. Once you start to access that level of consciousness, and it's not